So like David said, hi everybody. I didn't say hi, sorry. Very nice to be here on Monday, as usual. And to see so many people. Priscilla always brings a lot of people. Yes, true. So anyways, very happy to see all of you. And the gospel moment today is on chapter 21. The title of chapter 21 is There Will Be False Christs and False Prophets. And item 1 reads the following. The tree that produces bad fruit is not good, and the tree that produces good fruit is not bad. For each tree is known by its own fruit. Figs cannot be picked from thorn bushes, nor can bunches of grapes be cut from briars. A good man brings forth good things from the good treasure of his heart, whereas the evil man takes evil things from the evil treasure of his heart. For the mouth speaks from what fills the heart. Luke chapter 6, verses 43 through 45. And so, as usual, Jesus brings us a message, a valuable teaching that he's trying to teach us by using an analogy of fruit trees, right? So he usually talks in parables, and this one is a good example. So he's comparing bad trees that deliver sour, bitter fruits to false prophets. And he's comparing also good trees that produce sweet fruits to true prophets. And the gospel explains extensively about true prophets and false prophets. And so I'll briefly try to give you guys a little bit of a summary of what I researched in the gospel. So true prophets, we'll try to discern the two. I think that the main point is to try to discern, to differentiate the true prophets from the false prophets so that we may follow the true prophets, right? And so the true prophets, they usually have messages, they deliver messages of light, of love, of charity, right? Tolerance, and the essence of their message brings a divine and moral advancement, right? You actually are able to feel the love that their message brings, to feel the vibrations, the emanation, even by being just in their presence, right? They could be, true prophets could be just there and not saying anything, but you still are able to feel this wonderful feeling. Like, I don't know if anyone here has had the good fortune of being in the same room as Chico Xavier, right? So I haven't, but I heard that he was a person that emanated love just by being there. So that's a big characteristic of true prophets. The other thing, too, is that true prophets, they have big missions to fulfill, right? So they bring together the two worlds, the spiritual and material, and they try to instruct us on how to live through the material world and to achieve happiness in the spiritual world, right? And they are also, because of their advancement, because of their moral and intellectual advancement, they often are able to foresee the future, right? They are ahead of their time, and they bring about all of these instructions through intuition or revelations as well. And I think the most important thing about true prophets is that they're actually able to act on the words that they preach, right? So they portray Christian values in an easy manner, right? Because a lot of the times, like I said, they are more morally advanced than the group of people that they're trying to teach. And it makes sense, right? Because if you're trying to teach somebody, you will most likely know a little bit more, hopefully, than them. And so now to try to contrast the false prophets, on the other hand, and it may be a little bit hard to know, right? But I think it's easier, a little easier to feel. But they often bring about messages of hate and dissolution, disunity, discord, right? And even though sometimes their message may appear that they're talking about love and charity, in the deep root of their heart, right? What the gospel brings us, they're really sowing self-interestedness and selfishness and material gain. And bad prophets, they will often reject fraternity. They will often look for power, right? So those are some ways that we can try to differentiate between true prophets and true prophets and false prophets. And I think that what the important thing is, what do we do, right, when we're receiving messages, ideas, or theories that people are trying to teach us, these instructors that we receive in this incarnation? The gospel tells us that we have to use our good reasoning and common sense, right? And a lot of the times, as I was thinking, those two are very important, but they're not very easy to get, right? And so how do we get common sense, and how do we get reasoning is by studying, right? So the most important thing is educating ourselves through the 5 books from the codification from Allan Kardec, right? So that we can, the other things that come up to us, right? Either talks in the center or anything that shows up to us through the internet, right? The internet's a big one nowadays. So if we have the base, if we have the principles deep-rooted within us, we are able to discern what is the true Spiritist doctrine is saying from something that is not, right? So discern the bad prophet, the false prophets from the true prophets. And also the gospel, a little bit of the end too, they remind the mediums, right? It's very important for mediums to be aware, for them to analyze the messages that they receive, because the false prophets are not only going to be in this material world, they are also all over the place, like everything that happens right in the spiritual realm too. And so they have communications with us. And so it's important to really doubt the communications that bring character of mystification or exclusivity or ceremonies, right, or extravagant acts. So that's another thing that I guess brings it to our daily lives for those that are mediums. And for those of us that are not mediums, I think that also trying to put into the very, I think, daily the very routine of our days is try to bring this learning from the gospel also and put it into leaders that we follow on our daily lives, be it either in the center, be it in our community, our nations, right? So we really have to exercise this if we're trying to follow Christian values, right? Exercise the discernment of what these leaders are trying to teach us and what they're trying to lead us to. Remembering always that our moral evolution is our responsibility, and these good, true prophets are here to help us. And again, we are responsible for the actions that we do, right? And so it's important to make sure that we are educated, that we are learning from the good ones, and really letting go of the bad messages. I think that's it. Thank you.